It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Oh, yeah, we're hitting right.
CJ, the Painkiller.
Kevin Jackson. So we need to start acting like a big boy football. It is time for the Jetpacks to die. You're listening to Weapons Hot on Sports War Radio and the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Darnold fires one into the end zone. It is caught. That's a Jet touchdown.
And now here is your host, CJ, the Painkiller, D. Simone, and Kevin Jackson.
What's going on, Jets Nation? Welcome to another edition of Weapons Hot, a New York Jets fan broadcast here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network, Sports War Radio, and quite frankly, any place where you get your New York Jets fix. I am your host, CJ the Painkiller D. Simone, and as you guys notice, I am flying solo this evening. And if you take a look around here, brand new studio here. Welcome to the Armory. And as you can see, still got a little bit of work to put together. Probably by next weekend when we go live again, hopefully I will have my co-host and also the Armory will be fully up and running, which would be a cool thing because I really would like to share this all with you. And, you know, quite frankly, when we take a look at the New York Jets, I mean, they've just been a complete and utter disaster on all fronts. And Thursday night was no different, although they did show a lot more fight than they have in the past couple weeks. Jets falling, obviously, to the Denver Broncos 37-28 in a very tough game. There was some talk earlier in the week that there was the potential that Adam Gase could possibly lose his job, provided that if the New York Jets were not competitive in this game. And believe it or not, the New York Jets were actually very competitive in this game. The only problem is that they didn't come up with the desired result. And that may be for a couple of different reasons, which I'm going to talk about tonight with you guys. And one of the things that really hurt the Jets, penalties, man. Holy cow. The New York Jets, 11 penalties for 118 yards. That's 6 personal foul penalties. So, really, to be honest with you, it was just not a clean game at all. And I feel badly for Sam Darnold. I really do. Because the first drive of the game, he converts a couple of third downs, and then he pulls off this monstrous run, which ends up scoring for a touchdown, which was amazing. So the team had life. They looked like they had life. They looked like they had a lot of fight. You could tell that they really had come out, and it looked like that they were prepared to play. But then the rest of the game happened. And the rest of the game, to be honest with you, was a microcosm of just what the New York Jets season has been under head coach Adam Gase, which is run, third and long, punt. Sam having to scramble, pull a rabbit out of his ass for the 4th straight week to try to either move the sticks or to try to get a touchdown. And it's just ridiculous. I just felt like that even though the Jets were preparing for a short week, this was the Denver Broncos team that had just as many injuries as the New York Jets. And this honestly was a game that I feel like in my heart of hearts that the Jets could have possibly won. And the more and more I take a look at the teams that are upcoming on the New York Jets schedule and all of the injuries that are happening, the different fluky games that have been happening, like before I was airing tonight's podcast, I was waiting for my son to actually finish up his homework. And I was looking at the Bills-Raiders game. And I would have thought, honestly, that Bills Raiders game would have been a little bit more competitive, but the Bills ended up running away with it a little bit in the between the third and fourth quarter. And, you know, it's kind of frustrating when you go and take a look at a New York Jets team that basically probably could have competed with all of these, provided they were 100%, provided they were coached a little bit better than they currently are being coached, etc. But That's not the case, to be honest with you. And I really think that, this is something, unfortunately, we're going to have to endure for the rest of the season, because shortly after the game, the New York Jets came out with a press conference that Adam Gase will not be relieved of coaching duties. So he probably will be the coach for the rest of the season, unless somewhere between now and week 17, Christopher Johnson grows a brain and decides I can't take no more of this. And shortly after the game, and this is what I actually want to talk to you guys about, which I'm glad. So one of the things that I want to talk to everybody, and I want to pose this question to Jets Nation and all of you people that are listening, all of you people that may download or listen later on the simulcast. But I got to know, how are you actually feeling as a New York Jets fan right now here on October 4th when I'm doing this live broadcast? How do you feel about Adam Gase? How do you feel about Joe Douglas? Because I'm curious to know. I really am. Because right now, when I take a look at this team, I see a football team that's undisciplined and unprepared to play every Sunday. And unfortunately is reliant upon Sam Darnold in the offense to have to work with scraps. And I mean no disrespect to the guys being called up from the practice squad, like the Jeff Smiths, the Lawrence Cagers, because let me tell you, I would love nothing more than to see one, if not both of these kids stick with the squad, especially Lawrence Cager. He's somebody who I've talked about a lot in the offseason since the Jets signed him as an undrafted free agent. We're also looking upon the horizon for the arrival of Denzel Mims, who all estimations should be eligible to play this upcoming week. So now, the thing that I really want to talk to you guys about is, what is it about this New York Jets team that, in your opinion, is wrong? Because I could give you my opinion, and I'm sure that there are a lot of people out there that will give their opinions too. Maybe they'll agree with my point of view. Maybe they won't. I don't know, to be quite honest with you. All right, so I'm curious for the pulse of New York Jets Nation. I really am. I want to know exactly what you guys are feeling, what's going through your heads right now. How aggravated are you that Adam Gase is still the head coach? And do you feel like he should have been let go? Because I sure shit do. Because I think that any head coach in the NFL that starts off 0-4, considering the fire that he's been under, okay, for lack of a better word, all right? Now, there are a lot of people that really do not like Adam Gase. I decided at the end of last year, I'd give him the benefit of the doubt to let's see how this year would play out. And so far through the first quarter of the season, it has not played out very well. We've seen games in which the Jets were completely non-competitive. We've seen the defense, who was touted in the offseason as probably being the biggest strength on this football team, more and specifically the defensive line. And now there's questions about that because of the amount of yardage they're giving up per game. The secondary is being exposed. Quinnen Williams is not being consistent. And there are other players on this team that are actually going out and making plays, and they're not being utilized in the rotation the way that they should be. And it's really frustrating. So, you know, I just don't understand why the New York Jets right now are continuing along this path with Adam Gase. And this would have been the actual perfect week to get rid of Adam Gase. Why? Because you had a Thursday night game. You very well would have actually been able to have somewhat of a contingency coaching staff in place. Pardon me as I just got a little bit of a message. So, as I'm going back and forth and trying to not only do a broadcast, I'm also doing a lot of the producing as well. So I appreciate your comments. If you are listening to the show and you do want to have your comments, please, right at the bottom, type your comments in. They will definitely make the air. I promise you that. So when you go and take a look at this time period, I want to get back to that previous point. This is the perfect time for the Jets to have made that change. Now, spare me the garbage that, it probably would have been detrimental to Sam Darnold and, changing coaches in the middle of the season or at this juncture in the season might actually be detrimental to his development. I don't buy that, because I just think that right now that the Jets are just in a spot right now where they need to have a different voice in that locker room. The Jets need to have a different person coming at them, running practices, running through plays, talking to them, getting them to understand the gravity of said situation, because it just seems like to me right now that there are 53 guys in that locker room that nobody really knows who the leader is. And, when you have that, that's really a problem. Because to me, I don't think that Adam Gase is a leader. I just think that Adam Gase is just there and basically just made his credence from working with Peyton Manning. I'm going to be 100% honest with you. Because there are only 32 jobs in the NFL. This is one of 32 jobs. The New York Jets being the head coach, it is a big deal. It's a big deal because you have a franchise in which has been so much maligned. We have had so many different train wrecks and rebuilds of rebuilds. And there's so many different things that are wrong with this franchise, not just in the front office, but we're also talking about the way that the day-to-day operations run. Now, what I mean by the day-to-day operations, what exactly are these players actually absorbing when they practice, when you're watching film? Are their position coaches actually going over drills to help these guys improve tackling? Because we're still seeing sloppy tackling. We're seeing a lot of sloppy tackling. And it's personally ridiculous, okay? Because there were several plays during the Denver game that the Jets made that basically just let Brett Rippon and the Broncos hang around. And personally, to me, I thought that the Jets were the more talented team, regardless of the fact that we were running backups out there, than the Denver Broncos. So this was a game that really, in all actuality, the Jets should have won this game, at least on paper. They're a better football team, in my opinion. Now, there are a lot of people that will disagree with that, and that's fine. You're entitled to your opinion. But I think the matchups, the Jets should have actually won this game. And even though I went on live rounds last week and I told them that I just felt like, there was, there were just, what's the word that I'm looking for? That I just felt like I didn't feel confidence in the team being able to come out, being ready to play for a Thursday night game on a short week, given the fact that they just got their asses handed to them by Indianapolis. And I really didn't feel like the Jets were going to be prepared for this game. But I was surprised. because the Jets took an early lead. The first lead that they've held this 2020 season has just been absolutely ridiculous. But it's the first lead that this football team has held. Okay? And now, so pardon me, I'm actually working right now on getting a guest to join me. So hopefully they will be joining us very, very soon, and you'll be able to see them up there. But when I take a look at what the New York Jets were trotting out on Thursday night, there was every opportunity for them to win this football game. And I know I feel like I've said this a couple of times already since I've started the show. But after this game, no doubt Adam Gase should have been fired. No doubt. And believe it or not, had there also been a replacement for Greg Williams, I probably would have shown him the door too. Because the 6 personal foul penalties, although a couple of roughing the passer penalties that went against the New York Jets, I kind of disagreed with. But nevertheless, I also feel like at the end, the Steve McClendon roughing the passer penalty was a little bit warranted because of the fact that Brett Rippon decided to go up top and they decided to try to run up the score on the Jets. So especially when there's less than 2 minutes to go in the game, you just don't do that. You don't. So, but Fangio and company felt differently, so Rippon paid the price for it. So Fangio at the end of the game decided he wanted all the players off the field. He didn't bother to shake Adam Gase's hand. Adam Gase walked into the locker room, and then the reports started coming out that Adam Gase would not be relieved of head coaching duties, much to the dismay of Jets Nation. Now, back to something else that I want to talk to. Shortly after the game, I actually put a couple posts on Facebook in which I had a couple people respond, including a good friend of the show, Lon Siegel, about how I felt like that if Christopher Johnson didn't fire Adam Gase, that he was a wuss. And then also if Joe Douglas didn't say something to Christopher Johnson about getting rid of Adam Gase at this juncture when it looks like that the team is just underperforming, it looks like they really just don't want to be out there, that I felt like that Joe Douglas was a wuss too. Because how much power do you actually have? Because you can't consciously sit there and tell me that you as a general manager or you as an owner are pleased with the product that you see on the football field on Sunday. Because if you are, I question you. I have multiple questions for you that probably would take years for us to answer. Because I can tell you that if I was the owner of the New York Jets and I saw the play that was going on these past 4 days or these past 4 games, I would be incredibly pissed. Because regardless whether this is a toy for the Johnsons or not, it's still my money. It's still a product that has my name on it, that belongs to me. And I want that product out on the field to be proud of, to be competitive. So I pay people to pull the strings to make that product competitive. It's just like any business, okay? And I've had different discussions, different debates with people on Facebook about this very subject, which I'm about to bring up. The owners are still going to be collecting a check every piece of merchandise that's sold with the New York Jets logo on it. We get it. We also get that they're going to be making money hand over fist every time the New York Jets are shown on television. They all get a share of the television revenue. We get it. Okay? But to me, the way I look at it as like an employee of a business. Okay? So if I was Adam Gase, and I show up to work every day, and I am not doing what's in my job description, then guess what? I probably would be considered a bad employee. And ladies and gentlemen, as you'll see, I have Mr. Errol Marks from the Worldwide Sports Radio Network who's going to be joining me as well. So just give him a moment to get his stuff up. But getting back to my point, now, if my boss came to me as an employee and said to me, CJ, what are you doing out here? You got crap all over the place. You're not cleaning up after yourself. Your work performance is bad, and so on and so forth. I would expect my boss to come in to reprimand me if I'm not doing a good job. So this is the disconnect that I kind of have with Christopher Johnson and with Joe Douglas in regards to Adam Gase. Because Adam Gase clearly is not doing a good job with this football team. So I'm very curious to hear my guest who's just appeared with me, Mr. Errol Marks from the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Errol, first off, how are you tonight?
Well, I'm driving. I saw you working by yourself, and I wanted to give you some good, Jets insight on what I think what's going on with the New York Jets. And I told you for the last couple of weeks that I did not feel that the Jets were going to fire Adam Gase until either week 6 or week 7. And I think that's what's going to happen. I think that's what's going to happen. I think the Jets and Christopher Johnson and even Joe Douglas, they're trying to stall as much time as they can to try to prove to the Jet fans that Adam Gase could win some games with Sam Darnold. The problem right now, when you look at the Jets as a team, in the big picture right now, where the team is at and who they are and their identity, they don't have an identity. They don't know who the future quarterback is going to be on this team. They don't know who the future coach is to this team. And you have defensive players and even players that probably don't even want to suit up, and that's why they're hurt. I swear, you saw Mekhi Becton. Mekhi Becton tried to play on Thursday night. He wasn't healthy, but he tried to play, and I think he was trying to help out and be a team player. But right now, where the Jets are at, I don't know if they know who they are. And Denzel Mims or no Denzel Mims, Jamison Crowder or no Jamison Crowder, I just don't think there's enough weapons here for this team to even compete against those Buffalo Bills that are 4-0 today. You look at the Miami Dolphins, the way they're playing, they're a better team. All these teams are run differently. Adam Gase really doesn't know what he's doing. The schemes that he provides to the Jets in certain aspects of the game are completely outlandish and stupid. You look at him as an offensive mind, an offensive guru. Where do we see this offensive guru? Where do we see this offensive mind that we've been told by not only the Jets organization, by ownership, by even Mike Maccagnan when they decided to bring him in, and then Adam Gase got Mike Maccagnan fired. So it's just, to me, it's a joke. Joe Douglas as a whole, I think Joe Douglas is not to blame for this. I think Joe Douglas knows what he's doing. I don't think Joe Douglas wants him there. I really don't. But he's trying to be a good friend because Adam Gase got him this job, got him the opportunity to be a GM of an organization a little bit quicker than he was expected. And now you're looking at the Jets as a big picture right now. I don't know where the Jets are going to go this year. Look at the next couple of games that they have to go and play against. Look who they have to play against. They're going to play the Cardinals next week. Then the week after, they're going to play San Diego that almost beat Tampa today. I mean, then you have the Chiefs. You have the Patriots and the Buffalo Bills. You got all these games coming up. They don't stand a chance against any of these teams. And for the Jets to think to keep Adam Gase as the coach, even if Greg Williams takes over, is it going to be any better? I think the team will probably listen to him more, but the defense hasn't even played well this year either. So does Greg Williams deserve the opportunity to be the head coach of this team? The answer is no. No, none of these guys. It's embarrassing. They're an embarrassment. They really are. They are the worst team in the NFL. They're going to be the worst team in the NFL moving forward. I don't even know what happened with the Giant game today because I've been so busy helping out. But I think the Giants lost, right?
Yeah, the Giants were losing. The last that I saw, it was like 17-9. And, we'll see exactly. I highly doubt that they came back to win that game. But, as far as I'm concerned, Errol, and I brought this up. I hope you got to listen to the point that I brought up with. At one point, does Joe Douglas sit down with Adam Gase and just say, look, dude, this is not working out. Friends is friends, and I appreciate you getting me this job. But guess what? You keep going the way you're going, you're going to cost me my job. Okay, and I didn't come here and sign a six-year contract just to get booted out in the first year when I haven't had a chance to make a dent to fix this roster.
I don't think Joe Douglas is going to lose his job. I think the deal that came in and the reason why he decided to take the Jets job out of all the other jobs that he was going to get offered to in the year after, because he was the hottest GM available going into next year, which was this year. So if he didn't sign with the Jets, he was going to get a job somewhere. A lot of people thought he was a great mind, offensive background, offensive line background. You saw him restructure this offensive line. This offensive line has been the only good thing about the Jets, really, of what we've seen so far. But all in all, where the Jets are at, Adam Gase right now is tingling and dangling around because I think Joe Douglas is giving him the opportunity to try to prove himself. I just don't see it in the next couple of weeks for him to prove that he is the coach of the future. Go look at the Jets numbers. They're a dead last in almost every statistic offensively.
Yep.
Say whatever you want about Adam Gase and the guru that he is. Go look at where the Jets were ranked last year in offense, 31st. This year, they're 32nd. You can't honestly tell the Jet fan that this guy's a guru and he's going to help Sam Darnold. Now we're talking about possibly moving Sam Darnold. There's stories coming out that teams are interested in Sam. Pittsburgh, Chicago, all these different teams that want Sam Darnold. And what's going to happen is the Jets are going to have the worst record in the league. I said this on the Weekend Crunch on Saturday, and I've been saying it throughout the week. What's going to happen is they're going to decide to move on with Sam Darnold. The question is Trevor Lawrence willing to go into the NFL draft knowing that he'd be the number one pick and he's going to the Jets? Who knows? Because if I was Trevor Lawrence and I was his agent and thinking about what I'm seeing with a great young quarterback like Sam Darnold, and you see what's going on with him, why would I want to come out this year knowing that I was going to be a Jet and I've got no weapons around me, nothing surrounding me where I think that I'm going to succeed in New York? So I would absolutely worry if the Jets think before the season's end or at the end of the season, say, you know what, we're going to move Sam. We're going to trade him and try to get as many picks back for him. Maybe we'll get a first and a third back for Sam from Pittsburgh because Juju Smith wants to play with him, or one of these things that you hear, or Chicago that loves him. I mean, I was reading the story. They absolutely adore him. They want him. They'll give up a boatload of players and a boatload of picks to get Sam Darnold. That would put the Jets in a situation where Sam will go somewhere where the Jets don't get the quarterback that they want, and then they're going to start setting themselves back another 10 years because Sam's going to go somewhere else and be successful, and we're going to be pissed off Jet fans. Right. So that's what is lurking for the New York Jets. Now, if you were to ask me who would I want, Trevor Lawrence, Sam Darnold, honestly, I would like to keep Sam. The problem with Sam is he's injury prone. We cannot have a quarterback that cannot be consistent and stay healthy. The guy can't stay healthy. Right now, he's got a shoulder sprain. He might play next week. He might not play next week. When you're seeing a quarterback in 3 back-to-back years get hurt, that scares me moving forward when we're going to have to pay this guy $40 to $45 million in 2 years. That's why the best thing that can happen for the Jets is the Jets lose out this season, and you leave it up to Joe Douglas to decide, is Sam the future quarterback of this organization, or do we go elsewhere to arguably the best prospect quarterback since Andrew Luck? That's the only thing that we can look forward to this offseason.
Well, I actually want to throw a caveat out there because it's funny that you mentioned that. I've been listening to on a couple of different sports shows the possibility about the Jets not really making a decision about Sam Darnold until they hire their next head coach. Mm-hmm. Because Sam Darnold is probably going to be either the selling point or going to be the point where in order to get somebody in the door who maybe does not want to work with Sam Darnold, that the Jets are going to end up making the decision to move on from Darnold and then possibly draft Trevor Lawrence. So I think that first things first, what the New York Jets need to do is they need to establish what their coaching hierarchy is going to be going forward. Because once Adam Gase is gone and this coaching staff is gone, because I really don't think there's anybody worth the damn to keep on this staff except for Brant Boyer. But Brant Boyer, I have a feeling, could possibly end up getting, a head coaching job someplace else in the NFL. So Errol's currently having a little bit of technical difficulty, so I'm sure that he'll probably listen to my question afterwards. So just really quick, I want to go through the comments while we wait to get Errol back. Shout out to Lowell Lichmore and Rob Gonzalez for tuning in, dropping some comments. I appreciate you both tuning in. Mekhi Becton is the most valuable player on the team. Yes, I completely agree with you. No doubt whatsoever. New York fans will hold on to the offensive guru forever. Yeah, of course they will. Because that's what this guy was touted of when they brought him in the building. This guy was coaching where football was going. This guy can't coach his way out of a wet paper bag with two hands and a map. So Rob also tweeted in, no need to make a change until after the season, just weather the storm. Yeah, I agree with that to an extent. But I think that the longer that Adam Gase is here, the more chance that Sam Darnold there's a possibility he could get ruined. And I think that if he does, then there's going to be major problems here. I'm going to be honest with you. So Rob also tweeted in, Johnson won't pay for good coaches. They may have no choice in this matter because you can't keep going and hiring a first-time head coach to come in and to screw up this franchise. This team has been in a rebuild, seriously, since the Herm Edwards, Mangini years when they started to have a little bit of respectability. Then Rex basically took over Mangini's team, okay, and got the 2 back-to-back AFC championship games, and we still haven't done shit since then. All right, so the Jets are going to have to open up their pockets as we actually have another guest coming on in just a moment. So, again, I think that the Jets are going to have no choice but to open their pockets to a good head coach if they want to bring this team out of, the mires of non-respectability. So, and I just want to keep going on. Jets were a 4-win team before Gase. At what points do fans look at the talent? Now, I agree with that to an extent, Lowell, but this team, believe it or not, you don't need superstars on this team to win football games. We've seen the New England Patriots win games, win championships with scrubs. Okay? So I don't know. I mean, that's a great question, but I really don't think that it's a talent issue, to be honest with you. Because you know what? If you put Jeff Smith on the Patriots, he's probably the number 2 receiver, and he probably already has like 300 yards receiving plus or whatever because Belichick and Josh Daniels know how to use their receivers. I mean, look, was what's his name? Was Julian Edelman a superstar threat before he was on the Patriots? No, not at all. Was Danny Amendola? No, not at all. Was Wes Welker? Nope. He wasn't a household name. So I really think that you don't necessarily need superstars on this team as far as the talent level is concerned. But here's the thing. It's coaching. It's coaching. That's the big thing. All right. So I actually want to open the floor to Mr. Josh Silverberg, who's taking some time out to join us today. Joshua, how are you?
Good, guys. How's it going? How's everybody doing this evening? I feel like I'm on a simulator ride with Errol right now in his car.
All right, so Josh, I'm actually curious to get your input on this situation. Tell me exactly how you're feeling right now. Jets 0-4, Gase still has a job. What are your thoughts right now?
Well, first off, I love CJ. I love the Green Inferno poster behind you. I love the fact it's in an inferno somewhere. That's one. Number 2, how am I feeling? I mean, you remember I was texting you and everybody in the group Thursday night. Everybody was Keith and Kevin. I'm upset. This angers me. This pisses me off. This is upsetting. And I said, I'm so numb to this, guys, that I'm just so used to it that it's just so not surprising that this even happened. The fact that they made this kid who's an undrafted third-string QB come from the West Coast on a short week, make him look for a half like Nick Mullins, who they made look like Joe Montana out there. And it's just, to me, the first thing I start with this, the offense was abysmal. Sam Darnold made a play that pretty much he only made that play because the offensive line broke down, and Cameron and Balaj, can that dude block somebody? I mean, how many misassignments did he have in the game? 6, 7, 8 misassignments? It was ridiculous. But when you start seeing personal fouls, that starts to show the character of this team, which is basically a careless attitude, which is basically an I don't care attitude. I could give a damn. I'm just here to play, get paid, and go home. That's the attitude I get when you're doing personal foul calls. And look, Greg Williams in the past has been in trouble with some stuff like this. He has. So is it surprising that these things are popping up now? No, not really. In regards to the team being 0-4, look, I said it on Arrow's show a few weeks ago. You remember, CJ, we were talking in the comment section, and Arrow straight up, and Arrow agreed. I said this team will go 5-11, 6-10, and find a way to screw this up. I don't know if they're actually going to find a way to screw that up this year, because you look at their schedule. Who are they beating? Who? This team, in my opinion, has a legitimate shot. And I know everybody's going to say, oh, well, they could be the Dolphins one of the two games. Miami played a hell of a freaking game today against the Seahawks, okay? They played tough, man. That's no, and at that point, Tua's going to be in there. Tua's going to probably light us up. Like every rookie quarterback they'll face, Herbert will do the same thing. You saw Herbert today. Who are they beating that's on their schedule? I mean, I don't think I would say the only I wouldn't say easy, maybe the winnable games they have on their schedule, guys, and I thought about it, is Arizona next week. I don't know how they're stopping Kyler Murray. Murray's not having a great year. I don't know how they're stopping DeAndre Hopkins. Who are they going to put Pierre Desir on him? That's going to be, Cardinal defense is way better than what it's shown this year. It's way better.
If I could jump in for a second. Pierre Desir probably had one of the most schizophrenic games I have ever
You got that right.
A New York Jet have in a very, very long time.
It was ridiculous.
And this is because of the fact that, he basically got an interception just taken away from him, like stealing candy from a baby by Jerry Jeudy, which was, wow.
He pickpocketed him. That's essentially what he did. He pickpocketed him and he ran with it. That's essentially what he did.
But he actually did have 2 good interceptions in the game, which kind of made up for it. But in between the 2 interceptions, there were also some times where you saw him get absolutely completely posted.
It was like at times you were like watch. I'm not going to say on the Trumaine Johnson level, because nobody could top that catastrophe. But it was pretty damn close at some of his coverages at times. But again, going back to it, look, guys, look at the schedule. The only winnable games I see are Arizona. I don't think they're stopping DeAndre Hopkins and Kyler Murray. The Raiders. Don't know if they're going to be able to stop Vegas. First off, Vegas, when they get healthy in the next few weeks with Ruggs and these guys, they're going to be good again, I think. And I think John Gruden's going to coach circles around Adam Gase. Anyway, God willing, he's, God forbid he's still here. Oh, my God, if he's still here by week 15 or whatever that game is. And Miami won of the 2 games. Other than that, there are no other winnable games they have on their schedule. There's not one. Buffalo, they're not winning. Cleveland, they're not winning. Seattle, Kansas. Wait till they play the Chiefs. I want to see the spread on that game. I want to see the spread on that Kansas City Chiefs game when they play the Chiefs. Holy cow. If that spread's not 15.5, something's wrong.
We were joking about the Indianapolis Colts game with the spread on that it was 11.5, and at one point it had ballooned up to 14.5, and then it came back down a little bit. I mean, really, the Jets got zero respect in any regard of any of that. So, so Eric, I want you to jump in here for a moment, because I'm very curious to hear your rebuttal to Joshua's comments, and then I have a few comments here in the feed that I'd like to get on here, especially Mr.
I'm going to let you get to the feed. I'm going to go inside to my studio and I'm going to join you guys.
Okay.
All right.
All right, so really quick, I want to go through these comments while Errol changes directions here. Shout out to Scott Klesby for chiming in here. Gase is trying to make the talent play to what he wants to call instead of molding an offense around the talent we have. Very true. It is true. And then another where he's taking a little shot at me here. Stop saying we have good talent. We're playing 3 wide receivers from our practice squad. Look, okay, Scotty, I love you to death. I respect your opinion, but look, if they're on an NFL roster, they've earned their spot on an NFL roster. If they've earned their spot on a practice squad, they've earned their spot. They don't just give out those spots to any scrub that comes up there and can catch a ball. Okay, so, I mean, Cager conceivably could have made the 53-man roster on opening day had it not be for, whoever else they held up for they held the roster spot for Vincent Smith, and then they found out that he was going to be out 5 weeks. So, I mean, look, I mean, you gotta kill me. So he's going, it's true. Lowell Lichmore is going, thank you, Scotty. And then, of course, they thought I think somebody made a comment in here about, Lowell Lichmore made a comment, Edelman is better than Chris Hogan. Yes, to an extent, you're right. But Chris Hogan, believe it or not, became a good receiver when he was with the Patriots. I mean, if not, he wouldn't have gotten signed. And plus, before he went to the Patriots, he was also a good receiver on Buffalo. I mean, he wasn't a superstar, but he was serviceable. That's really all you need them to be. Just hang on to the ball.
That's exactly it. Yeah. I mean, CJ, do you mind if I just jumped in quick for a second in regards to the talent thing?
Go for it.
You still have talent. I mean, look at it this way. Why is Chris Herndon all of a sudden regressing after Jeremy Bates left? What happened? Where did all of a sudden he just become a non-factor in this offense? I understand we don't have any receivers, but here's a brilliant freaking idea. How about when everybody comes back and healthy, how about we see Le'Veon Bell on the field and not Cameron Balaj, and then you could come to me about the talent issue, okay? Because don't.
Well, I mean, honestly, Kalen Balaj didn't deserve to have a roster spot, but that's a conversation for another day.
That was ridiculous. How many missed assignments did he have?
So he counted at least 4 from what I thought. So,
man, it felt like 20. Every time he was on the field, it was a sack.
So there were times out there where you just heard me saying a lot of this there, Josh.
Yeah, I know. And look, I thought fireable offenses, CJ, fireable offenses to put their quarterback with a shoulder injury and to put your top pick with an injury and put him in the game is a fireable offense. Because that's hazardous, first off, to the health of the player, for crying out loud. I mean, that's just so – I mean, if you don't see that, then you're lost and you have your blinders on then. I get the Jets don't have much talent, but for God's sakes, you're putting in injured players? I mean, is this the excuse we're going to have now? Come on. Guys do it all the time.
Yeah, that's true. So, all right, I want to throw a question out there for you again, courtesy of Scott Klesby. How many drop passes do we have as a team so far?
No.
In a word, too many to count.
If I just count the one game against the Colts and you'll go back.
Right. So I tell you, I got to get, you know what? Shout out to Lowell. Shout out to Scott. You two sons of bitches, we're going to find a way to get you guys on the show because I am so curious to hear it will put them behind the microphone what they have to say. I'm intrigued. I'm fascinated. I'm fascinated by the takes we got tonight.
In the words of a radio announcer that's right here in New York, not a big fan of him, but CJ, you'll probably know him, Mr. Joe Beningo.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
and then there's the Jets.
Oh, the pain, bro. Oh, the pain. Oh, man. It's just like I said it on the show last week. There's only one route I think they have to go. And I got to tell you, I know you were talking about Darnold and who he could be traded to. I thought of 3 teams instantly that could use him. Maybe even 4. The Colts, the Bears, the Vikings, and the Steelers. And maybe even the Lions.
It was actually Arrow who was just putting out different news reports out there that different rumblings of teams that allegedly have called the Jets that have said that they're that they're interested in Darnold. And Lowell Litchmore is just having an absolute field day in the comments.
Yeah.
You know what? You know what, buddy? Your happy ass is coming on this show. All right, so PM me later on tonight or tomorrow or something. We're going to work this out because it's got to happen.
But that's CJ. That's 5 teams. 5 teams that I just named, okay, that would be interested in Sam Darnold. I think the only route you got to go, listen, I love Sam. I love the kid. You know what I mean? But I think you got to go to – I think it's come to the point now, man, where there's 3 names I want. It's Eric Bieniemy.
Yep.
It's Arthur Johnson from the Tennessee Titans. Greg Roman from the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind having Greg Roman.
Those are the only 3 names I want to hear. I don't want to hear other names, nothing else. And I think you got to go in there, and I think what has to happen is they now have to sit down with that new coach. They got to ask him, can you work with Sam Darnold still, or are you going to want to start fresh with Trevor Lawrence? And I would say all 3 of those guys, and they're going to say no disrespect to Sam, but I want to develop my own quarterback that's not coming on his 3rd coach. I want to develop a quarterback who's 6'6", weighs 220 pounds, and has been to 2 national championships in his 2 years in college football in a Power 5 conference, and possibly going to his 3rd this coming year, and that's Trevor Lawrence. All right, because if you're Eric Bieniemy, right, you're thinking in your head, who does Trevor Lawrence remind you of? Okay, he's got a cannon for an arm, he can run out of the pocket, and he's got a great football IQ. He's going to interest you. Now, I'm not saying this is who he is, but I'm saying that Bieniemy's going to say, this is Patrick Mahomes. This is the exact replica of Patrick Mahomes. It's a clone. And to me, when I think of that instantly, I think if you're Bieniemy or if you're Johnson, or if you want to be able to put your stamp on your guy that you drafted. And also, that's the other thing, too. I don't know if Joe Douglas, CJ, I know he said it, but I don't know if he was all in on Sam. Like, I was actually talking to my father about this. I told you my father's a huge Green Bay Packer fan. He's been a football fan for 40 years or whatever it's been, you know. And my dad's like, oh, that's such baloney. You're telling me that a guy would try to sabotage this to because he wants his own guy in? I said, do you know how many egos there are in professional sports? Where they want to put their stamp and say, I picked this coach. I drafted this quarterback. This is mine. I didn't inherit this guy, and I didn't inherit this guy. So, therefore, I want to draft Trevor Lawrence, who's my quarterback. I want to pick my coach, who's Eric Bieniemy, and I want to do that. If they sign Allen Robinson, right, and they sign Joe Thuney from New England, and they're signing guys with you're telling me that there wasn't kind of like a sabotage by Joe Douglas to say, I want to draft my quarterback? I mean, come on. You got to think about it. I mean, if they're signing Allen
Robinson. It could be a good point, but, I mean, I don't necessarily know if I would go the route of sabotage, though. I think, though, that I think that personally, I think that Joe Douglas right now is at a point where he's seeing the collapse in this team. He's preaching patience. He's trying to give Adam as much. He's trying to give Adam as much time as he can to get it turned around, because he knows that if he can't turn it around, I think that regardless whether he turns it around or not, I don't think he's gonna. But I think at the end of the year, Adam Gase is going to be out, and I think that's probably going to be one of the biggest things. One of the biggest things for Joe Douglas to actually do. You know, I personally don't have an issue with it, but because of the fact that you're talking about the friendship factor. But I mean, eventually you got to put the friendship factor to the side, and you got to say, you know what? Look, dude, you're 1-15. You're 2-14. This team didn't do shit when you were here.
Yeah,
they underperformed. You know, you asked me to go out and get all of these guys. I brought all of these guys in, and you couldn't do shit with it.
Mm.
So I'm sorry, but we got to move in another direction.
And I'll say this: I'm so happy, and listen, I agree with what Arrow was saying earlier. The offensive line's been a plus. But my God, I mean, there's so many times I've seen this year. And I remember, CJ, you remember this? I said it in the chat the other night when I said, is it just me or am I not that impressed with Connor McGovern? I mean, the guy gets between him and Van Roden and Lewis this year. I'm sorry, I'm not impressed with them, and this is why they don't have guaranteed deals after this year.
Right. Well, this is the point. Is the reason being is Joe Douglas, like at the beginning of the year, was using this as an evaluation year to see what guys are going to fit in the system that we have here. And I think that I personally don't think that Joe Douglas is trying to sabotage anything. I think that he and Adam Gase actually sat down and said, okay, we need to work on this offensive line. Let's go get guys who are in the offensive line. Well,
they got screwed with Thuney. They got screwed with Thuney this year because he was going to be a Jet, and then the Patriots franchise tagged him, and that was the guy that Douglas was going to go after. That was the report. He was going to pay him big money to come here, and
well, there was also Jack Conklin who was out there on the market too, and he ended up going to Cleveland.
Thank goodness he's having a okay year, not the year I would have paid him for. Thuney is a way better, in my opinion, a way less riskier signing it would have been. But I completely agree with you, CJ. I mean, look at it this way: Fant's been a good year. Fant's having a very good year, but the thing is, people said you overpaid for Fant. So do you want to continue to give him the guaranteed or whatever it is, $6 million or whatever it is that he gets paid? That's the only risky part. I just think too. I just haven't been really that impressed with McGovern. In my eyes, I really have not. I think they got to use, I think, a second round pick or something on the center. I mean, look, even a late first rounder if there is one, because that's what the Jets did years ago with Nick Mangold. Okay, that's where the whole thing started, right? They took Brick early in that round, then they took Mangold later in that round. Okay, that's where everything started with building the offensive line. Okay, and I know everybody's gonna say, "Oh, a center in the first round, that's so stupid." I know it's not the sexy pick. I completely understand. But you got to build your wall in some sort of way. And if it means using the 28th pick in the draft or whatever it's going to be from Seattle to do it, then that's the way you got to go. And I mean, people were so pissed. You remember, guys. I mean, both of you remember. When the Jets drafted Brickashaw Ferguson, people were screaming for Matt Leinart, ripping their heads out. They want the Matt Leinart because he was the sexy pick. I want Matt Leinart here so bad I can't take it anymore. Right. It's ridiculous. Look what happened. Brick wound up being a staple in this team for how many years? And Matt Leinart was out of the league in 5 years. So you got to go the route, and you got to see how teams are building the way. They're not going to get Penny Sewell from Oregon. That's not happening. I would love it. He's a generational offensive lineman talent, but it's not going to happen because if they get the number one pick in the draft, they're using it on Lawrence. But you got to go, I think, using that later first-round pick on an offensive lineman. I think you got to.
Well, let me ask you a question here then, okay? And, Errol, chime in on this one here because I'm curious to know your opinion on this. Let's say, now, Errol and I had talked about this earlier before you joined us, Josh, about the possibility of the Jets not making a decision on Sam Darnold until the new coach is in place. A new coaching staff has been established, etc.
Yes.
And then making a decision on the fate of Sam Darnold, whether you're going to keep him or whether he's going to stay. No, I mean, whether you're going to keep him or whether you're going to trade him. I'm sorry. So here's the thing. You get a head coach who comes in and says, Sam Darnold is my quarterback. I want to keep him. I can work with Sam. You have the number one overall pick.
Oh.
Are you still taking Lawrence or do you go get the big uglies?
No, I think you got to do a couple. I mean, I think you have to trade that pick, and you got to take a team that's going to want that quarterback, and you're gonna have to get a boatload of draft picks, but you got to stay within. Like, you can't drop from first overall to say somebody offers you a boatload of first rounders, but they're picking like 12th overall. I'm like, that can't be the thing you got to go. If you want to go like third or fourth or whatever one of those teams wants him. And you could get like a Penny Sewell here, and you could build your offensive line around Sewell and Becton, and you could sign Joe Thuney and you put him on the left side. That's already 3/5 of your offensive line done right there, and you're going to get more draft picks, I'm sure, later on. You know what I'm saying? For years, the Dallas Cowboys, they did it, right? Every Cowboy fan wanted Johnny Manziel. He was the sexier pick. They wound up going with Zach Martin. Thank God they did that for their own sanity. Because if they didn't do that, who knows where they'd be right now.
Yes, you are, in fact, listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. This is Weapons Hot, a New York Jets fan broadcast. CJ the Painkiller DeSimone here. I'm live with Mr. Joshua Silverberg and also from the Worldwide Sports Radio Network studio in NYC or wherever Arrow Marks is, probably on Long Island.
NYC.
Mr. Arrow Marks.
From to Brooklyn, so there you go. That's how far Long Island is wide. But no, I would say I would look if the head coach guys, if the head coach wants to come in,
I will butt in for 1 second. I will. I know you guys keep talking about the big uglies and everything like that. This is what's going to happen. No matter what happens, if the Jets have the worst record in the NFL, if Trevor Lawrence comes out into the draft this year, he declares that he is going to go into the NFL draft. There is no question. I don't care who it is, what coach it is, if he wants Sam Darnold or not. Sam Darnold in 2 years is a free agent. He is going to want big mucho dinero. There are teams out there like Chicago and Pittsburgh that are willing to give up first-round draft picks for Sam Darnold. And I could see Pittsburgh doing it. Juju Smith-Schuster has come out and said he wants to play with Sam Darnold again. Chicago has come out and said there was articles coming out from different analysts out there in the country, not just one, but two of them, that said that Chicago would be very intrigued and very interested now that Mitchell Trubisky is now off the table. He's no longer going to be the starting quarterback in Chicago moving forward. It's Nick Foles. So now you're seeing the big picture now. I absolutely believe that if the Jets are the worst team in the NFL and they get the number one pick and Trevor Lawrence is coming out of the draft, there is no way in hell the Jets are going to pass up on arguably a quarterback that some people are saying was a better and is a better prospect than Andrew Luck was coming out from Stanford. So as much as I love Sam Darnold, I really do. I think he's going to be a great quarterback in this league. You saw what he did on Thursday when he ran that ball in. That was fantastic. You saw the offensive line opening up for him, and he made some jutes. And he got in there, and you saw what Sam Darnold could do with his legs. He's got no one to throw to. You can't blame Sam Darnold that his wide receivers can't create separation. He's got nobody to throw to. Jamison Crowder looked decent at certain, and he's a great slot guy. If you have two fantastic offensive weapons on the outside, they don't have one. And Denzel Mims, yes, he might be back next week. It's going to take him weeks to figure things out in that offense. So we might not see the real Denzel Mims until next year if he's 100% healthy because the Jets have no luck.
Well, Arrow, sorry, really quickly, you said about Trevor Lawrence. He said he's coming out. He already said he's going to come out this year.
So did Peyton Manning.
I know he said that, but
So did Peyton Manning.
Different money now than it was years ago. That's
fine.
That's different money.
That's fine. Peyton Manning came out in 1998 and said he was coming out of the draft. He found out the Jets were getting the number one pick. He passed up on it. He didn't want to play in New York. And I don't care what anybody says.
Different. I heard it was different. I heard that it was Parcells said he wasn't giving Peyton a short answer that he was going to pick him, and that's why he went back.
Yeah, I mean, there's a back and forth banter. I think Peyton Manning he didn't want to play in New York. You saw Eli wanted to play in New York. He hates
the Jets. He sabotaged the Jets into taking case too, I think. I really do.
But to finish up, I looking at the big picture where the Jets are at right now, and I know a lot of Jet fans are probably upset with the organization not firing Adam Gase. I wasn't surprised they didn't fire Adam Gase, even though there were stories coming out on Colin Cowherd, The Herd Show. There was other shows that came out that saying that if the Jets lose against a fourth or third string quarterback, that the Broncos were going to put out there that they were going to fire Adam Gase. I have already said it. I believe the Jets will fire Adam Gase in week 6 or week 7 when they know the season is completely over, even though we already know it's over. Joe Douglas knows, and Joe Douglas sees it the way he wants to see it. He's trying to give Adam Gase enough time to prove to the fans and the organization that he could live to see another year. He's not going to live to see another year. This team is completely outraged. There are a lot of players that are probably going to try to sit out as long as they can because they don't want to play for him. You heard about Jamal Adams, but hey, listen, Jamal Adams is not doing his thing over there in Seattle either. So I don't want to hear about Jamal Adams. We lost Jamal Adams. Jamal Adams is going to get $90 million from Seattle, be overpaid. 3 years down the road, he's going to wish he never left the Jets. I've said this over and over again. And as much as you're going to say, you're going to laugh at me and say, why would he care if he left the Jets or he didn't leave the Jets? The Jets stink. This organization will figure it out. I really do believe it. It's poorly run up top, no question, with ownership, with Chris and obviously Woody, no question. But I think they have the right GM in hand that understands how to build a team. He came from Baltimore. He came from the Eagles. He understands that he has to build the front men, the beasts up front for the quarterback. And Sam Darnold, it wasn't his pick. That was Maccagnan. So he might say to himself, you know what? I don't want Maccagnan's scraps, even though I don't believe Sam Darnold is a scrap. I think Sam Darnold's going to be a star. He might not be doing it with the Jets, but wherever he goes, he's going to be a star in this league. And a lot of Jet fans are going to be upset, but they won't be as upset if Trevor Lawrence is the real deal, which, I mean, every single analyst, everything that I've read about him, the kid has no weaknesses. He has none. He's got a great arm. He can move inside and out of the pocket. He's got the size. He's got big hands. He's got an unbelievable vertical leap. He's a leader. I mean, the guy's got everything. He was the number one quarterback in the nation when he came out to go to Clemson. He's the number one quarterback in the nation now. The guy has been number one everywhere he's gone and everywhere he's won. So this is a guy that I believe could handle New York. I believe Sam Darnold can handle New York too. The Jets didn't put enough weapons. There was nobody available in free agency this year that you can obviously say Joe Douglas said, oh, I'm going to bring him in. I'm going to bring him in with Jamison Crowder and Denzel Mims. There was nobody. A.J. Green got franchised. I was talking about A.J. Green. He got franchised by the Bengals, and A.J. Green's not having a good season over there in Cincinnati. There's nobody. But this coming year, you got T.Y. Hilton. He's available. You have Allen Robinson. He's available. You've got weapons that you can make a move for. Yes, overpay, but bring in guys. If you bring in T.Y. Hilton, Denzel Mims, and you draft the kid from LSU and move up, if you get Trevor Lawrence, and then you have that pick from Seattle, and you trade Sam Darnold and get another first-round draft pick for Sam and a third or a fourth for Sam, you can obviously move up and get the wide receiver that you want. So then you solidify your offensive style of game. You still have Herndon, who I think is a bust. By the way, I don't know what the hell's going on with that kid. Maybe when he crashed the car and he hurt his ribs, or maybe he stopped drinking and maybe drinking did help him. I don't know, because the guy is out of his damn mind. He can't catch a ball. He's got pot hands. He plays like Robbie Anderson. And Robbie Anderson, let's talk about Robbie Anderson. Ever since he left the Jets, I mean, every single game he's had 100 yards or more. Mm-hmm. I mean, what is going on? And that has a lot to do with Adam Gase, too. Say whatever you want. He was under Adam Gase last year, and he wasn't utilized.
Josh.
He wasn't. I'm sorry? I'm sorry?
What happened?
No, I thought somebody was cutting in. They didn't utilize Robbie Anderson right, and you can see it in the offense that the Carolina Panthers are using right now. Now, I don't think Robbie Anderson is any good. He's a borderline 1,000-yard guy. He's never had 1,000 yards in the NFL. But if Robbie Anderson was playing on this team right now, we were talking about Merriman. Merriman stinks, okay? This whole team as a whole, and your best wide receiver, I said it last week, Berrios is your best wide receiver. He's 5'6". So you have your best wide receiver, 5'6", catching the ball, getting you 60 yards and a touchdown a game. Sam Darnold is running for dear life. Their cornerback position with Desir, and it's terrible. It's their secondary, and Marcus May, as good as Marcus May has looked in the first 2 weeks, he disappears. He disappeared this week. Where the hell was Marcus May? So
I was gonna say really quick. You know, we talk about with the coaching and everything like that. You know what's amazing is that Christopher Johnson, they were so close to getting Matt Rule, who I wanted them to hire, and they said you're not allowed to pick your own coordinators.
Right. That was Mike Maccagnan's classic mistake. Somebody should have hit him in the back of the head with a chair about that.
Adam Gase was allowed to come in and bring Dowell Logans in. Who Ooh, who thought of that asinine decision?
Yeah.
Ooh, I mean, what was that? You don't trust Matt Rule, but you trust Adam Gase?
It was a lot to do with Peyton Manning. You were right. It has a lot to do with Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning opened up his mouth, screwed the Jets again, gave him a – and listen, everybody says, well, you liked Adam Gase. I liked Adam Gase for the prospects of what we were talking – I didn't – something told me Mike Rule wasn't going to be a fit for the Jets. He just wasn't. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know about that. I think he probably would have fit in great over here.
I don't think so. First of all, he's a Giant, all right? He's not a Jet. He's a Giant. He comes from the Giants organization. He comes from the Tom Coughlin tree. I don't want a Tom Coughlin guy. I don't want a Giant guy that's going to come in and yap his mouth and say what he says. And he's not a quiet guy. Matt Rule is not a quiet guy. So I want a guy like Eric Bieniemy. He is a guy that he's a quiet man. And he plays the game. Remember, he's playing under Andy Reid. Go look at all the coordinators that have come out of the Andy Reid tree. A lot of them have been very successful. And Eric Bieniemy, in the last 4 years, go look at where Kansas City's offense is ranked in the last 4 years. They've been in the top 5 every single year. Yes, it's Andy Reid's offense. Bieniemy is calling the plays. If he's calling the plays.
Go see Bieniemy the other night when the Chiefs couldn't score Monday night against the Ravens, right? He got screaming at them. He starts yelling and screaming at them. What do they do on the next drive? They get a touchdown.
I gotta get. Hang on a second. I gotta get this comment on the air. All right, Scott Gillespie. Shout out to him. Errol, this one's for you. You liked Gase? Were you kicked in the head as a young child? Didn't you see how he ruined Miami?
Well, here's the reason why I liked Gase, and a lot of I didn't like Mike McCarthy, and a lot of people said, why didn't you like Mike McCarthy? Mike McCarthy had Aaron Rodgers, and he had Brett Favre, okay? You're talking about two of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play the game, top 10. Both of them are going to be linked together hand in hand, okay? That's who he coached. You going to the Jets, you have Sam Darnold, the young quarterback. You have no weapons. There was nobody available. He would have been in the same predicament as Adam Gase. Now, Adam Gase, I didn't want Adam Gase over Mike McCarthy. I'm not saying that. But I knew Mike McCarthy wasn't coming to the Jets because I knew Christopher Johnson was not going to let him pick the players. I mean, not the players, the coaches that he wanted. So Mike McCarthy took a step back. So then we were talking about Matt Rule. We were talking about coaches that we've never even heard of. Kingsbury that went to Arizona, who's done well with Arizona. He would not have fit in New York. No way that offense would have fit in New York. These are all guys I didn't want. Now, I did talk to Eric Coleman on and off the air quite a few times. He knows Eric Bieniemy. He loves Eric Bieniemy. He thinks he's going to be a fantastic coach in the NFL. He's going to add another African-American to the coaching in the NFL, which a lot of people want to see. Eric Bieniemy, it would be the sweet spot for the New York Jets right now. He would be the perfect fit for the New York Jets because Andy Reid's offense works in this league. Everywhere it's gone, even in Chicago, with the craziness that's going on with Mitchell Trubisky. Now you have Nick Foles, and you see what Nick Foles could do in the open fly, in the field. Trubisky wasn't the high-flying, throwing quarterback, the accurate quarterback. He's a guy that likes to use his legs, throw on the run. That's what he was. Bieniemy is, he's going to want his own quarterback. And I don't know, looking at Sam Darnold and his skill set right now with the weapons that they don't have, and knowing that he's going to be a free agent in 2 years, if Bieniemy signs or decides to take the Jets job, what's going to happen, and you guys know this as much as I do, he's going to get a 5-year deal to link him up with Joe Douglas. And what's going to happen here is that he's going to want at least 2 years to redefine this offense, which means Sam Darnold will not be there in 2 years because he's going to want $45 million.
Hasn't earned it.
No, and he hasn't earned it. So what's going to happen is he's going to say, I want the number 1 pick. That's what I want. I want the number 1 pick. I want the best player available, and that is Trevor Lawrence, who is a bigger prospect and a better prospect than Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun Watson, all those quarterbacks that have come out of the draft. Now, the question is he going to be able to develop this kid, something that Jets coaches have not done in over 30 years, and that is develop a franchise quarterback.
Yeah,
Nobody's done it. So,
it's interesting. I was thinking about this the other day about the Jets and developing franchise quarterbacks. And look, while they've dropped the ball on certain guys, I mean, I look back at the certain quarterbacks they drafted. Okay, look, think about it the last couple of years. I mean, Ken O'Brien was a serviceable quarterback. Chad Pennington did well for them. Mark Sanchez got them to 2 AFC championship games. I'm not saying they were all elite talent superstars, nor am I backing up the Jets in any way, shape, or form here. But we need to call it like it is. Those guys performed pretty well in certain situations. They weren't complete bust. If you want to talk about bust, let's talk about a second-round draft pick in Geno Smith, okay, who was a second-rounder for a reason. You want to talk about Bryce Petty or Christian Hackenberg or those guys.
Browning Nagel.
Oh, my God, please stop it. Greg McElroy, everybody. Let's go crazy for Greg McElroy, who's done it. Actually, he does very well.
Have you heard what Greg McElroy said about the Jets organization when he left? Did you hear about that? He was on WFAN. I remember Joe Beningo and Evan Roberts were interviewing him. He's coaching. He's I think an offensive coordinator for a college right now. And they asked him, what was it like playing with the Jets under Rex Ryan? And he says it was an absolute circus. That's what he said. The ownership doesn't know where they're going with certain players. They don't know who the future quarterback is. There were certain aspects of the game that even going into the film room with some of the offensive guys and some of the offensive coaches, they had no idea on how they're going to relieve, certain plays to certain offensive players. I mean, there was just so many different things that you heard Greg McElroy said, but he also said the Jets organization, it's time. You know what I mean? It's due now that they get the quarterback of the future where they can be a successful organization. It's been 50 years since they've won a Super Bowl. It's about time. This is the year. If the Jets want to lose and Trevor Lawrence is everybody's wish list, and this is what everybody believes is going to be the next big quarterback in the NFL, then lose. Don't win. Don't give the Giants the opportunity to get Trevor Lawrence, because the Giants right now, if the season were to end, because of the Jets schedule and because of how bad the Jets have lost, the Jets are easily the number one pick right now. Easily. If you go look at it right now, it's not even close. They're the number one pick. And right now, if they win one game, then you have teams that are matching up. You have the Giants they haven't won a game. You have Jacksonville who has won one game. These teams are bad, and they're not going to win that many games. So if the Jets believe that they don't stand a chance and Sam Darnold isn't the quarterback of the future of this organization, then just quit and let the season go and fire Adam Gase and start over again.
I mean, I agree 100%. I think that's the way it's going to go. But like I said, I just think everybody throws so much shade on the last few quarterbacks they've drafted, but it's not like they've drafted high first-round picks. And the first-round picks they did draft, Chad Pennington was moderately successful.
You are a factory of sadness!
Mark Sanchez got the 2 AFC championship games. Who are the guys they didn't develop? Christian Hackenberg, who should have never been in the second round.
Oh, God.
Bryce Petty, Geno Smith. Those were not first-round picks. So the only guy they didn't develop well, honestly, was Sam Darnold.
No mention of Christian Hackenberg on this show.
Well, listen, facts are facts, CJ. Unfortunately, that draft itself was a debacle between Darren Lee and then Christian Hackenberg after that. So, but I mean, look, let's call it like it is. Like I said, I named 5 teams that would be interested in Sam Darnold. That's the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Indianapolis Colts, the Minnesota Vikings, the Detroit Lions, and the Chicago Bears. Those are 5 teams that would instantly trade. You know what I wish they would have done? If Bill O'Brien, because Bill O'Brien's such a freaking idiot, because they did a trade for David Johnson for DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, could we have traded Le'Veon Bell maybe for DeAndre Hopkins? Would they have taken that deal maybe? I mean, you look back on it, I think maybe Houston would have taken that. They would have taken Le'Veon Bell over David Johnson. Was there another comment, CJ?
Oh my God, yeah. Freaking Scott Gillespie is just absolutely blowing up this chat right now.
What is he saying?
My daughter went to school with Bryce Petty. He says, my daughter went to school with Bryce Petty. He couldn't win in high school.
Yeah, it makes sense. That sounds about right. When you're playing the Big 12 and it's all airmailing the football everywhere, then yeah, But the facts are the facts. When it comes to the whole thing, I mean, man, I think you gotta start fresh. I think you gotta go. Obviously, you gotta go the new head coach. I mean, the one report I did hear is they also could be interested in I forget his name, the Ravens defensive coordinator.
Yeah, I don't want him
because he has connections with Douglas. But you gotta go. I think you gotta go Bieniemy. Like I said, either Eric Bieniemy, you gotta go Arthur Johnson from Tennessee, or you gotta go Greg Roman from Baltimore. One of those three. Bieniemy the favorite. And you gotta draft Trevor Lawrence, and that's the way you gotta go. Start fresh, new quarterback, new coaching staff.
Well, and you're right. You're right because you have to start fresh right now. Because if you look at the big picture, Sam Darnold has had 2 coaches in 3 years. Okay. You had another coach that's 3 coaches in 4 years. You cannot go into another season with a quarterback that already doesn't even know who he is as a quarterback in the NFL. He's running for dear life. There's no weapons whatsoever on the field. You have to start fresh because bringing in a guy like, and I love Sam Darnold. Everybody will know this. I think Sam Darnold is going to be a star in this league.
But we all love him.
I love the guy. I think the kid is the real deal. I just think right now where the team is and where the team is lined up right now, and the fact that they have the opportunity to get the number 1 pick, you have to draft Trevor Lawrence. You cannot choke on this and say, you know what, we'll trade the pick. We'll get as many picks as we can, and we don't even know if Sam Darnold is the future quarterback of this organization. We're gonna have to overpay him. Yep. So it's Trevor Lawrence, no question.
But it's like we've been saying. Aaron, I understand what you're saying. I know CJ and we were talking about it last week as well. If the head coach comes in here and says, I want to work with Sam, I think that's going to have to sway in a direction. I think that Douglas is going to have to appease the coach thing because you don't want the relationship to start off where they don't agree with each other. I hired the coach. And the other thing is, too, is the owner has to let the GM hire the coach.
Speaking of which, I want to jump into this conversation here as far as the owner is concerned. Okay, we've all been pissing and bitching. We've seen from the time that the Johnsons have taken over ownership of this franchise the most ridiculous hierarchy that they have. Okay, where both the GM and the head coach are on equal footing, and they both report to the owner.
It's ridiculous.
I personally think it's time for that power hierarchy to stop. Christopher Johnson, Woody Johnson, whichever one of the Johnson brothers who's going to be the owner needs to hand the keys to the Cadillac. Well, right now it's a fucking Pinto, but, whatever. Okay. Just hand the keys over to Joe Douglas and say, look, here's the keys. You take us into the future.
I think they're doing that right now, CJ. I think they're doing that. I think they're giving Joe Douglas the opportunity to run this organization. I do not think the Johnson family has any say of what they want to do. Right now, Adam Gase is in position right now as we speak is because of Joe Douglas. That's it. Joe Douglas is giving him every opportunity to try to keep this job. And I believe that Joe Douglas is giving him to week 6, week 7, and he's going to say, you know what? I'm not throwing you to the wolves anymore. This is terrible. You've scored. Look at the Jets. Go look at the first 3 games of the season. Besides the last game, because they played against a depleted defense. And by the way, a 4th-string quarterback, which they could have lost. They lost against a 4th-string quarterback throwing 3 interceptions. I said this on the show on the Weekend Crunch. There is no team in 50 years that has had a rookie quarterback come in, throw 3 touchdowns, and win his rookie game. Okay? 50 years. And the Jets are the first team to do that. So the Jets are breaking records in every kind of category. So to me, it can't get any worse. This team can't get any worse. And to me, the best thing to do is to wait. There's no question. And I don't care what anybody says. Adam Gase is getting fired no matter what happens this year. He's getting fired. The Jets are holding on right now. There is no way he's keeping a job at the end of the season. I believe Joe Douglas and his coaching staff, not his coaching staff, his staff is going to start looking at they're looking at coaches in college right now. They're scheming. I heard through the grapevine that they've been reaching out. I wouldn't be so surprised if Jim Harbaugh's name will be brought up, because I believe that could happen. Because Jim Harbaugh has been fiending at coming back to the NFL. He hasn't succeeded in the NCAA, maybe because his style is more of an NFL style. You look at the quarterback he's coached, Alex Smith. He's become became a better quarterback under him. Kaepernick was a star when he was under Harbaugh. So I know you're holding your head, Josh, and you're going crazy. Jim Harbaugh is a better coach than Adam Gase.
I mean, look, my Finger's a better coach than Adam Gase, for Christ's sake. I mean, I take crabs that are better than Adam Gase, but that's not the point. The point is he has such an ego on him.
I know.
I just don't know if it meshes. Look at it this way. I'm going to tell you this right now. If Jim Harbaugh is ever going to the NFL, he's going to the Miami Dolphins because, what's his name? The owner is best friends with him.
Brian Flores is going nowhere.
Brian Flores is going absolutely nowhere with the Miami Dolphins, because I'll tell you something right now. If Brian Flores were to get fired by the Miami Dolphins, if I were the New York Jets, I would scoop his happy ass up.
Yeah, he's not going anywhere.
Anywhere now, but I'm just saying. But the thing is, when I think of, look, I gave the examples last week. I know, CJ, you heard it, but Errol, you weren't here for it. Why are the Islanders successful now? Because the owner paid two guys in Lou Lamoriello and
Harry Trotz
to do their freaking jobs. Why are the Rangers on the path? Because what's his name? The Dolan stays the hell out of the way from John Davidson and Jeff Gordon, and it gets he doesn't touch it. Why is it now that Steve Cohen is coming in here and he's going to bring in baseball people to run this organization?
Sandy Alderson.
Yeah.
Sandy Alderson.
I love the Sandy Alderson hire. I'm fine with it.
You're crazy. You're crazy.
I love it.
Come on. Hold on, Josh. Hold on. We're talking Jets. But you can't honestly sit here and tell me, after you've seen what Sandy Alderson did for the New York Mets organization, and it pretty much threw them under the bus in every kind of way. He had cancer. Thank God he's alive and he's doing well. That is a terrible move for bringing in a new ownership and adding Sandy Alderson, who believes in Moneyball. That means he's going to be stingy with his money and is going to maneuver the money just like he was doing when they didn't have any money.
Now, I love the hire, and I'll tell you why. And the reason being is this: he came from two organizations in Oakland who had no money. He's played the fact that he got the New York Mets to a World Series.
He didn't get them to the World Series. It was all Omar Manaya's players that got him to the World Series. Look at it.
Who made the trade for Cespedes? For him, and that got him in the playoffs, right?
And who was the best player in the playoffs? Who was the best player in the playoffs?
There would be no best player in the playoffs if they didn't get to the playoffs.
Oh, stop it, Josh. You can't honestly tell me that Sandy Alderson's a good move. That was a terrible move. No. And as far as the Jets are concerned, the Jets have Joe Douglas in play. Get Eric Bieniemy. Get Eric Bieniemy. That's who I want. That's the perfect guy. That's who we want. And CJ's here. I know he's hiding right now, but
but I understand. My point is this. Look, the point is this. People are coming in here and they're hiring people to do their freaking jobs. Okay? Why are the Knicks so freaking bad? Because James Dolan doesn't let anybody do their freaking job because he sticks his hand in the cookie jar. Why?
Stop now. That's going to stop now.
Why are the Rangers successful but the Knicks aren't? Because he don't know a damn thing about hockey, but he thinks he knows everything about basketball. But he don't know jack squat about basketball. Why is it that why the Jets can never be successful? Because Woody Johnson has to hire guys from an outside organization like Charlie Casserly to do the job for him when he could just hire a GM to do the job, and then the GM could pick the coach.
Right.
Why are we that was my point. Okay? That's why John Ledecky's been successful with the Islanders, James Dolan with the Rangers, hopefully Steve Cohen with the Mets. Guys are coming in here and doing the job and everything like that. Okay?
Well, before I let you guys go, because I'm going to leave because I got to eat something, I will say this. All you Jet fans out there, take a step back, breathe. This is a lost season, okay? This is going to be a lost season. There is no way The Jets are coming back. There's no way the Jets are going to win enough games to sneak into the playoffs in that final wild card spot. So let's sit back and understand one thing. And this is honest to God truth here. This is honest to God truth, and then I'm going to go. This team has no offensive weapons. Le'Veon Bell has come out and said that even though he took the opportunity to come to the Jets, he really didn't want to be a Jet. Okay, he really didn't. Jamal Adams talked him into coming to the Jets, and now Jamal Adams is out the door with Seattle. There are players right now, C.J. Mosley being one of them, who really didn't want to be a Jet, and that's why he opted out of playing this season. I believe that. He did not want to be a Jet, and he will be gone. He will not be a Jet next year. Best believe that. But I will say this. This team needs a reboot. That's what they need. Joe Douglas is the guy we need to move forward with. Woody and Chris need to step back and let this guy do his job. Let him figure out who the next head coach, who will fit with either Sam Darnold, Trevor Lawrence, Fields, whoever they decide that is their next quarterback or that's their quarterback of the future. And let them decide, let him decide on what this team needs to do and what this team needs to be in the future. Us fans, us crying about things every single year, it's not going to help anything. This team is in, as much as you guys think that they're not in the right direction, they're in the right direction. They have the right GM. They really do. The problem is that they have a bunch of guys right now that were pretty much stuck, like glued to the Jets. There were no offensive options this offseason. Tell me who was an option for the Jets to go after. There was none. So how was anybody going to think that the Jets were going to, we're going to scoop this guy? They had a chance to make a trade in the offseason for a wide receiver. They weren't going to trade up a first-round draft pick for him. There are wide receivers that are available this offseason. They will make a move for one big one. I believe that. They will get a big-name wide receiver. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's T.Y. Hilton. He's a guy that is explosive. They need a guy on the outside that can make plays. Denzel being the other one. Maybe they decide, you know what? We don't need to draft a wide receiver anymore. We've got Crowder, we've got Hilton, and we have Mims. Those are our three options, and we have a couple of tight ends, and we can move forward. Then they got to find a running back. If Piron is not the running back, LaMichael Piron is not the running back you think he is, I think he is. I just think he's in the wrong offense. If you don't think he is, well, then you find a running back in next year's draft that fits the culture of whoever you bring in. Your defense, you need to figure out what you're doing in the secondary. You have two quality safeties, but you don't have any corners that can make plays. And that is a problem. Desir needs to be gone. He's gone after this year. They're going to have to move on from Desir. He's not the right guy. Wilson, they brought him in for a 7th-round draft pick. He can't stay on the field. They don't have it. Austin is just a fill-in. They don't have a corner that can really take over in a game. And you see what Buffalo does with White. They close up the end of the field, the one side of the field. It gives them a chance to win all the time. And scoring 30 points a game. And that gives them, with that defense, a chance to win every single week. So here's what the Jets do. Solidify yourself with a coach. Decide what you're doing with Sam Darnold. Understand that Joe Douglas is in control. Find yourself a free agent wide receiver that's explosive, and then figure out who your pass rusher is and figure out who your corners are going to be next year. And then you will be a team that will be up and rising in the AFC East. Until that happens, Jet fans need to stop fucking acting like nut jobs and pulling their hairs out of their head. They are on the right track with the right GM. They're in the wrong track because they brought in the wrong coach at the wrong time with the wrong quarterback. That's all I'm going to say. That's it. That's all I'm going to say. Thank you, CJ, for inviting me. Josh, I love you, man. I've been texting you. Did you listen to the show last night?
I did. I didn't get to text you back. I actually had a text ready to go to send you, and it's still in my draft, actually.
Well, I hope everybody liked the show.
Arrow, to be fair, I do that to my wife all the time, and she's always like, he didn't text me, and I'm like, oh, crap, I thought I did.
I love Weapons Hot, and I love that all these Jet fans are so passionate about their team, and you should be passionate because you want to see your team win. But the Jets, I've said this, the Jets are really, if you really look at the big picture, with all their draft stock this year and all the money that they're going to have on the table this year, if they make the right decision on coach and quarterback, they could be a playoff team next year that quick. It could change in just a snap of a finger. It really could. They have enough draft stock for the next 2 years to be a contender in the AFC. The AFC is weak. It's weak. Are we watching the games? It's weak. Yeah. So they can compete. So I think the Jets just need to understand, bring in the right coach, let Joe Douglas run this team the way he wants to run this team, and they will be successful. I promise you, Jet fans, Joe Douglas is the right guy. He is the right guy. I swear to you guys that if the Jet fans let this guy figure things out and what he needs to do, he's done it with the offensive line. He really has. The offensive, yes, McGovern, he hasn't shown up. McGovern's been playing hurt all season. I don't know if you guys know that. McGovern has been fighting an injury all season long, and I don't think he's 100% healthy, but he's out there. He got paid, and he wants to keep that contract. So, and Font too. Font looks good too, but he can't stay out there too. This whole practicing thing and this COVID thing has affected the Jets, and where the Jets, they can't tackle, they can't do anything. This season needs to end for the Jets, and the Jets need to move on next season. That's where we're at right now as a Jet fan. And that's an understatement. That's right. Guys, thank you.
Thanks, Errol.
All right, Errol. Thanks for joining us tonight.
All right.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Errol Marks from the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. So, all right. So we're going to wrap up tonight's show because there's really nothing more to say.
Mm-hmm.
So, Josh, do me a favor before we wrap things up. Please give out all your social media information so fans of Weapons Hot can check out your show. You got a great show you do on Saturdays. Why don't you tell everybody about it here?
Sure. So myself and Alex Lowe's, we are, like you said, just like where Weapons Hot is on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network, we are on there as well. Of course, that was Errol Marks, the man who runs the entire network itself. So we do a show called Off the Mat. It is the only wrestling show on the network. Like I said, CJ still owes me a visit where we still got to talk about Rocky Johnson and everything like that. Right, CJ?
That's Rocky Johnson, Bruno Sammartino, the Little Iron Sheik, Nikolai Volkov, little Greg the Hammer Valentine. Yeah, we're going to have some fun with that.
Keith's been dying now that we talked. Keith's been texting me all week. When am I getting on? When I want to come on? When am I getting on? I want to come on so bad. I'll let you come on my show if you come on your show.
Yeah, you got to bring him on. Let me tell you something. If there's anybody who really knows their wrestling,
I love
it. It is definitely Keith Farrell. You'll definitely enjoy him.
But check us out. Like CJ would say, check us out at Off the Mat WWSRN. That's Off the Mat at WWSRN for our Twitter page, and then for me, it's just at Josh Silverberg. You could check myself out kissing Sandy Alderson's ass if you want on Twitter because Errol thinks I do that. But no, listen, I'm so happy I did get to make it on tonight. I'm thrilled. CJ and Kevin, you guys, I know Kevin's not here, but you guys do a phenomenal job. And that's why on Twitter the other day when somebody was posting their top 5 favorite Jet podcasts, I put in the comment section, I put yours and Ain't Easy Being Green as 2 other ones that people need to check out. So I posted that on that guy's Twitter page who had like 50,000 Twitter followers. So hopefully that got more viewership for sure. But it's a phenomenal show. I love the new setup though, CJ. Loving it. Like I said, we just got to throw Adam Gase in that Inferno, man. That's right.
That's it right there. Throw him right back there inside that skull over there and let him have a feast right there.
Yeah, so. I said, really, really quick before you go, CJ, like Errol was saying, we need a wide receiver. We do. We need a wide receiver. I like T.Y. Hilton. Number 1 target, and hopefully, CJ, you'll agree with this, Allen Robinson. Allen Robinson needs to be numero uno, number 1. Okay? That needs to be number 1. I don't want anybody else. Number 1 should be Allen Robinson. But thanks, CJ, for having me on tonight, man. I appreciate it.
Oh, you bet, Josh. Thank you so much for joining us. And speaking of which, ladies and gentlemen, for Weapons Hot, you can follow us at CNC Jets Factor. You can follow me at JetsFan0523 on Twitter. My partner in crime, who is MIA this evening. Actually, he's taking care of some family business at Spotty Blackman. Shoot the show an email, weaponshotpodcast@gmail.com. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook. Our content is up there. Go ahead, give it a listen, like that page, subscribe, message us a message right back. We love going back and forth. with other fans about this team and also leave us some feedback about what we're doing, about how we're doing here on Weapons Hot. Also, don't forget to check us out on Sports War Radio. Don't forget to check us out on SoundCloud. Don't forget to check us out on iTunes. Had a member comment not too long ago about iTunes not being able to find Weapons Hot under the old CNC Football Factory page. You could actually check us out under Sports War Radio. So that's where it seems like a lot of our audio is going. But of course, don't forget to go there. You could also download the Worldwide Sports Radio Network app. If you got an Android, go to Google Play. If you got an Apple, go to the Apple Store. All you got to do is search it, download it. You can watch us. You can listen to us. You can listen to us live. You can listen to us simulcast, whatever your poison is. So those are all the ways you can get your Weapons Hot fix. So for Mr. Joshua Silverberg and Mr. Errol Marks, who had to depart us early, my name is CJ the Painkiller D. Simone. We are signing off. We will see you guys when we see you guys. And, of course, I will leave you guys, as always, with still, in my opinion, the best chant in the National Football League. Peace out, guys.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.